And a Jedi found me. She only taught me a little before they hunted her down. And they made me watch whilst they killed her.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Star Wars Skeleton Crew Episode 8 video. It's the finale. They're setting up a couple big things at the end of this, and they do try to link it a little bit to what's happening with The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. It's meant to be a spin-off of those shows like Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni were executive producers on the series. There were a bunch of cliffhangers where they leave off, basically giving themselves room to pick up with a Season 2, should they actually do that, which they said they're actually pitching to Lucasfilm right now, that there are talks about them doing a Season 2, but it hasn't absolutely been confirmed yet. So they wanted to have an ending that could feel like an actual ending for the characters, but leave themselves some room if they wanted to do a big time jump, because the kids are going to be so much bigger. Like, kids grow very fast, so like it's going to have a Stranger Things kind of problem. If they do a Season 2, the kids would look much, much older. So if we do get a Season 2, there will be a big time jump. I know there are a bunch of big questions now, because now the planet is accessible to the New Republic and literally anyone else in the galaxy. Anybody else can pick it up on their scanners now. There are a lot of questions how this is going to tie into the future of the Star Wars timeline, like all these credits, like a mountain of credits, this mint here, what happens to this money? Because it's literally almost unlimited money to anybody that would try to raise an army, for instance. Somebody like the First Order, you have to pay for the Starkiller base somehow. Like, how did the First Order rise up so quickly? Did they just take all the money from this planet? So we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Our next big Star Wars series will be Andor Season 2. I think it's meant to come in April. I'll be doing episode videos for that. After that, we're going to get the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and then Ahsoka Season 2 episodes in 2026. But the actual episode title was The Real Good Guys, a reference to the New Republic and the X-Wings that Wim and everyone else calls, bringing them to Attin to help deal with Jude Law and the pirates. Which he literally says later in the episode, he calls them the Real Good Guys. They also imply at the end of the series that Wim is going to eventually join the New Republic someday so that he can become a pilot just like them. But he's still like 12 years old when this is taking place, like the present day of the series, so it's going to be a little while before he's old enough to actually join the New Republic and become a pilot. Probably one of the other biggest reveals of the episode is revealing what's really going on with the Supervisor, confirming one of my earliest theories, interestingly enough. There were a couple theories I had, this just happened to be like the first one that I came up with after the first couple episodes. We also learned the rest of Jude Law's backstory. There were so many questions about where he got his Jedi training. Was he part of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant? Was he an actual Padawan before Order 66? The way he explained it, he actually rose up after Order 66 when a Jedi who was on the run, who had also survived Order 66, found him and started training him. So we'll talk more about that when we get to that part of the episode. But it was a pretty big reveal, and it kind of explains the timeline and the age of the character just in general. The opening scene starts immediately where last week left off, with him igniting the lightsaber as a way to prove his identity to the parents as an emissary of the Republic. During this first part of the episode, he lays it on real thick with them too, like, no, we gotta take these kids to their rooms, put them on lockdown, use security droids, you watch them for anything that they say, just so he can make sure that they don't try to alert the parents. He takes Fern and her mother with him to meet the Supervisor as hostages, effectively, even though Fern's mother doesn't know that till later in the episode. When we go back to Wim's house too, there's a couple of funny moments here, like we see the Star Wars equivalent of what looks like a microwave. All the tech here has a very 70s retro vibe, like the rest of the design of the house, and just the other houses in general, they're all kind of like this. Mostly meant to be inspired by the design language of the original trilogy, particularly A New Hope, which was made during the 1970s. They mostly continue to use his father for some comedy, especially early parts of the episode too, before he has his own hero turn later in the episode too. Like, he kind of turns into a daredevil in his own right. Like, Wim's father might turn into a speeder bike racer in his free time now. But at least at first, they want to make it seem like things have gone back to normal, like you're going to take your assessment, you'll get a job just like everybody else, it'll be just like any other day, any other year. When Wim talks about people ruining at Attin, his father says, don't worry, the Supervisor will take care of it, setting up the big Supervisor reveal when Jod, Fern, and her mother make it to the top of the tower. And the big reveal here is that it's just another droid AI system. That was one of my earliest theories, like what if it's just a rogue AI that's just taken its mission too seriously over the years? We eventually get some more context for why the Supervisor droid did what it did over the hundreds of years. But the large blue and red eye feels like a HAL 9000 reference for a 2001 Space Odyssey, and it is still voiced by Stephen Fry. Which is also a bit of a Sherlock reunion, because during the Sherlock movies, Stephen Fry played Mycroft. According to Robert Downey Jr., at some point they will make Sherlock 3, so we'll see about that. But this was basically meant to tamp down all the theories about what happened to pirate Captain Renaud. Like, people were wondering if he survived the crash. I think this is meant to confirm that he was killed when the crew mutinied, but his last revenge against them was causing the ship to crash, the Onyx Cinder to crash when it hit the planet, killing all the organic passengers except for SN-33. Even though there were all the jokes about his rat maybe secretly being the Renaud this whole time, I think the idea that the rat came from Attin and just found him and crawled into him at some point. But there are a couple rat jokes throughout the episode too when they reveal that SN-33 survived. Wim tries to coordinate with Neil, pretending that he's playing with his action figures to deceive the droid. They also try to pay this off at the end of the episode during the end credits too. Don't worry, we'll talk about that because they get kind of meta with the way they do the end credits. Like, wait a minute, was this all just happening inside of one of Wim's stories? Was Wim also a fictional character in a story that somebody else was reading this whole time? That'll end up twisting your brain if you think about it too hard. Don't worry, I'll explain what was going on with that later in the video. When he says, "Save Princess Fern," that's a play on the original plot of A New Hope, with Luke Skywalker getting R2-D2's message to save the princess. A lot of Skeleton Crew aped moments from A New Hope and the entire original trilogy just in general. For instance, them getting off the elevator at the top floor feels very coded to a Return of the Jedi homage with Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader getting off the elevator at the Emperor's Tower. There's a lot of info dumping and exposition that goes on during this scene too, where they reveal like the rest of the secrets of the show. Fern's mother reveals that she knew the Supervisor was a droid this whole time, saying that it was decreed by the Great Work that be the case. But there is a thick layer of dust over everything in the room, all the consoles, showing you that basically nobody has been to the tower in a long time, or really disturbed the tower when they have visited the tower. Because there's so many stations built for humans, I think the idea is that when they originally inhabited the planet, they started operating the Mint way back hundreds and hundreds of years ago, they probably did have a regular human working crew operating in the room here, supporting the Supervisor droid. Then eventually those first workers probably grew old, then died, and the Supervisor droid just never allocated jobs to anyone else to replace them, and either had the security droid service him occasionally or would just call up service people from the regular human workers over the hundreds of years if he needed them. Supported by the idea that Fern's mother talks as if she has come up here to visit the Supervisor before, meaning that all of her predecessors would have too. So it's all likely part of the secrets that Wim's father said that the kids would have been told after they graduated school, and the rest of the planet's adult population also knows the truth about the Supervisor being an actual droid. But sounds like it was a long time ago, before Order 66, before Palpatine took over the Republic and created the Empire, so not during Fern's mother's lifetime. Probably several lifetimes ago. He tries to impress it by levitating the lightsaber with the Force, trying to trick it. Fern also tries to alert her mother to the truth, but then we get the big Order 66 deep cut reference, and this is also meant to be a comp to the security droid going after Wim's father, finding out that he was lying, like, show me your hand, show me the other hand, show me both hands together. The Supervisor droid basically tries to trap Jude Law in his lie. He explains the last message that he got from the Republic was essentially Order 66, stating that all Jedis were traitors and should be executed on sight. You have to imagine that Palpatine broadcast that across the entire galaxy. But it sounds like Palpatine did not know about Attin's existence. It just had some sort of low-level connection built into the Republic where, like, the Supervisor was able to detect signals from the Republic, and that's how he got the signal from Order 66. So again, important detail, I don't think that Palpatine knew that Attin existed, and I don't think that he used those credits to pay for the first or the second Death Star, but that would be a big twist. Like, you gotta pay for the Death Star somehow. The other joke here about him catching him in the lie is that he was lying both about being an emissary and about being a Jedi. He is neither. Then to stop them, he jams the lightsaber in the Supervisor's eye, even though it's probably temporarily disabled, like the power comes back eventually, they'll probably fix the Supervisor droid. It's a little like him cutting the head off of SN-33, like SN-33, totally fine, none the worse for wear, they'll also probably eventually fix the Supervisor droid too. But when he takes it out, it disables all the security droids and the planet's power grid because all power lines are routed through the Supervisor's tower, all because the entire planet was meant to be automated for the most part. Like the Supervisor itself as a droid basically operated the entire planet. This gives Wim and the other kids a chance to take action knowing that they're not being monitored. Jod contacts Space Steve Urkel on the pirate frigate, deactivating part of the barrier so that they can come down and begin their assault. also revealing the failsafe to take down the entire barrier, like the entire nebula, setting up the later payoff with Wim's father and everyone else working together to push the button effectively. It's really a lever, so they're not pushing a button, they're actually pulling the lever, but it's meant to be a comp to Wim pushing the button at the beginning of the series, and then Fern pushing the whole deactivation button, the button that you're never supposed to press. That was why Fern's mother insisted so strongly, just to set up the fact that they would press it. Just as Wim tells his father the truth, the frigate passes above, proving what he's saying, and you start to see his father slowly catch up to speed, where he doesn't really want to be on board with what they're doing, tells him to chill out, until he eventually gets in on all the fun. The pirates do a whole bunch of damage to the town here. I think that they will eventually fix, like both the frigate crashes and the Onyx Cinder, which they also use for a joke later in the episode, but I think the idea is that eventually things will go back to normal and they'll just slowly clean everything up. Neil gives Wim the idea to contact the New Republic using Kim so that she'll send the X-Wings like they saw earlier this season. This is also meant to pay off Kim's comment to KB when they left earlier, saying that she would help them anytime they needed it, just to call on her, so she's been waiting for the kids to call her for help ever since then. Wim then says the title of the episode in the episode, like he says the name of the thing in the thing, saying that they'll call the real good guys and beat the pirates. Love the joke here about Wim's dad borrowing the speeder bike from one of the other kids who's just hanging out watching the action, like he just, oh, this is cool, big pirate frigate, never seen that before. Then the pirates land, trying to round the townspeople up, claiming that they're going to force them to work in the mint to make more credits for them, which Jude Law also hammers home later when he's like, you all work for me now, as if he plans to make this his new base of operations. The kids jump over the gorge with their bikes, paying off the joke from earlier this season when Wim couldn't do it and fell into the gorge, finding the ship in the first place. His dad now sounds like he wants to become a speeder bike himself, like a big racer for thrills, just like Fern was doing. Wim and his father go to the Supervisor's tower to help activate the docking clamp so that they can actually contact the New Republic. Also love the little joke that Wim's father sneaks in here too, trying to sound like a badass, like you're talking to a level 7 systems coordinator. Let's go. You also notice on the back of the Onyx Cinder, it looks like Jod had the security droids load up a ton of credits onto the ship, because he was still planning to take the ship and go back up to the pirate frigate eventually. Part of Jod's plan, I think, had he been successful, is they slowly would have actually started using the credits around the galaxy. Like, it's one thing to find an actual treasure, you're not actually wealthy until you literally start spending it all over the galaxy. Neil starts using the turret on top of the school like we all thought that he would the minute that he learned that there was one on top of the school, like, oh, there's probably one on top of my school too. He only gets like one turbo laser shot off on the frigate, but it does enough damage to distract them so that the Onyx Cinder can get through the barrier. Fern giving her mother the pep talk while she's having a breakdown is meant to be a comp to when Wim did the same thing to her on that same planet with the other Supervisor's tower. Her telling her mother that even though the rest of the galaxy is a hot mess of galactic war and problems and pirates, there are still good people out there that want to help, which is meant to be a reference to people like Kim and the X-Wings that wind up showing up, and like the New Republic just in general. I think the idea is that because her mother basically now runs the planet while the Supervisor droid is out of commission, means that she'll start treating with the New Republic more. So their planet won't be nearly as isolationist as it was before. Wim and his father show up in the tower, and he starts using that story to distract Jod using the Crystal of the Founders. It's basically meant to be him reciting one of his Jedi stories from his Star Wars iPad to Jod, like it's literally him just telling Jod one of his stories. When he says Crystal of the Founders, that also sounds a lot like a Kyber crystal, which are crystals that Jedi and Sith use to power their lightsabers. One other cool Star Wars fact is that the Death Star used Kyber crystals in both of the turbo lasers, which is why they were so powerful. When they made the Starkiller base, that was actually literally built into the planet Ilum, where the Jedi would go to find their Kyber crystals. But the whole idea here is that Jod knew that he was lying to him this whole time, like he could sense, because Wim is a terrible liar. The real giveaway being when he mentions the Jedi army coming, who Jod knows does not exist because of Order 66 and him living through all that and the Inquisitors. When Fern tries to get in on the lie and also help him, she's not totally wrong in saying that the Jedi aren't totally dead because Luke Skywalker is currently the last actual Jedi in the galaxy. The series is meant to take place around the time that Mandalorian Season 3 and Ahsoka Season 1 are happening, so the reason why Ahsoka doesn't count if you didn't watch the Clone Wars is because she quit the Jedi Order, left the temple before she actually became a Jedi, so really Ahsoka is more like a highly trained Force user than an actual Jedi. And as of right now, Luke Skywalker hasn't had enough time to find more Jedi candidates to actually train Padawans to become actual Jedi. Like, that's still years away for him. I think there was a little bit of confusion with some people, especially in the comments, not sure exactly when the series was meant to take place. Like, what is the present day of the series? Like I said, around the time of Ahsoka Season 1, Mandalorian Season 3, just because you didn't literally have, like, Luke Skywalker or Mando and Grogu show up, just to show you exactly where it takes place in the timeline. So if it wasn't clear, this is meant to be taking place after the events of Return of the Jedi, like several years after Return of the Jedi. Back on the Onyx Cinder, KB reveals that she's contacting Kim, also reveals she's using SN-33's severed head for some help. Notice that the resident rat in his head is now using her as a perch, so the rat is doing just fine. Kim says she has a hyperspace route directly to the planet, which I also think is meant to set up the idea that the New Republic is going to continue showing up, coming to the planet more and more, because it is literally full of credits. Like, of course, the New Republic would be interested in the planet now. The whole reason why Jude warned them about doing this, though, like, don't bring down the barrier, don't try to contact the New Republic, because he doesn't want them to ruin the bright spot in the galaxy that is the planet for him. We'll get into this later in the video, because like he said, basically, there's a good part and a bad part to revealing the planet to the rest of the galaxy. Yes, you do get the New Republic to show up and help, but potentially that could lead to the ruin of the planet long term. Like, what happens to all these credits on the planet in the future during the time of the First Order? Because the planet was created for the purposes of this series, like it's brand new to Star Wars canon, there's literally no mention of it in any of the previous Star Wars movies later in the timeline. And now you have a giant piggy bank in the galaxy with a bunch of people that'll want to get their hands on that. For instance, you have Thrawn with the Nightsisters who just came back to the galaxy. Currently, he has very few resources. He would need a lot of money to marshal a giant space fleet again. So there's just a number of bad people out there in the Star Wars galaxy currently that would want to get their hands on that, like the Shadow Council, for instance, the Imperial Remnant. When she fixes the ship without her visor, it's meant to pay off her helping Wim fix her headgear earlier this season, just proving that she doesn't need the headgear to be useful, like she can be useful without it. Then another important detail here too, when Jude is trying to stop Fern, her mother, and everybody else from messing with him inside the Supervisor's tower, notice he has the opportunity to shoot them multiple times, but either misses them on purpose or doesn't shoot them. Like when they try to pull the lever the first time, he just grazes them barely. I think because when he says later that he never wanted to hurt anyone, he's actually being truthful, like he never actually wanted to hurt the kids, it was all just threats to get them to comply. So they just wanted to make him seem as despicable as possible in the episode without becoming truly irredeemable, so that they can bring him back as a devilish rogue in a future series or like a season 2. So yes, he is a villain during the series, like he does wind up being the main villain of the series, but he's not completely irredeemable. Then he gives them the rest of his backstory, so he didn't train at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant formally as an actual Jedi Padawan, but when he was closer to Wim's age, like very, very young, after Order 66 had gone down, a Jedi who had survived found him and started to teach him in the Jedi arts, but couldn't finish because the Inquisitors found her and killed her. She's probably encased in amber with the other Jedi that Obi-Wan saw in the Fortress Inquisitorius. And his real villain origin story, if you want to call it that, was when the Inquisitors made him watch as they killed her, pushing him towards the life of piracy in all the things that he does in present day. He describes the Mint as one of the bright spots left in the galaxy that he'll kill anybody he needs to actually hold on to. That's a bit of a lie because he doesn't kill Wim or the others when he actually has them dead to rights. Like I said, they don't want to make him completely irredeemable. Wim's father gets a punch-off on him, disabling him briefly. Wim's able to hold the lightsaber back too because Jude is so weakly trained in the Force. If it were someone like Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka, or Grogu, they wouldn't have had a chance of holding them back or holding the lightsaber back. Then they pull the same basic trick with the lever to deactivate the barrier, where like all 4 of them try to do it at the same time because Jude isn't powerful enough in the Force to pull them all at the same time. Wim activating the lightsaber is also meant to pay off KB's comment earlier this season when she called him a Jedi. And for those of you asking, Wim is probably going to keep that lightsaber for the rest of his life now. Maybe at some point someone from Star Wars will say who the lightsaber originally belonged to, but it seems like it either came from the High Republic or the Old Republic era. Then the reason why Jude surrenders here and throws the blaster is because, like he said, he didn't want to hurt anyone. He had them dead to rights, so he could have shot any one of them if he wanted to. And I think at least at this moment here, he's sensing that because the X-Wings are here, the New Republic has shown up, that he might get arrested and he'll get way better treatment from them if he doesn't kill a whole bunch of people. The other big payoff here with the barrier coming down is that the citizens can also finally see all the stars for the first time. For most of them, it is the first time. When the X-Wings and the B-Wings show up saying lock S-foils and attack positions, that's the same command they gave when they attacked the Death Star in A New Hope. We also see a Corvette show up too, so it sounds like a bunch of delegates from the New Republic, like a bunch of actual officials, will try to figure out what's going on with Attin because they would not have known about it when they took over from the Empire. This is actually a big thing canonically too, so I think, like I said, Palpatine did not know about the existence of Attin because it had been hidden for hundreds of years, like multiple hundreds of years, so we're talking like High Republic era or even before High Republic. So if Palpatine didn't know about it, it means that when the Empire fell, the rebels, when they took over on Coruscant, the rest of the galaxy, they wouldn't have learned about Attin either. So the New Republic is learning about the Mint for the first time here. When Wim calls to Jude Law to come with them, it's sort of them trying to make amends, but the wry smile on his face, like it's kind of a sad smile, is basically him saying goodbye for now. Like he's kind of happy for Wim to see that he's gonna be okay. Like, okay, you'll be fine, kid, don't worry. But it's kind of a sad smile, like he almost got his dream of this Mint, this perfect place that he had dreamt of his entire life. Then as he turns around and watches the frigate crash, it's meant to be a metaphor for him literally watching his dreams crash and burn. But the reason why he suddenly smiles again here in a more mischievous way is because he's coming up with a plan of how to escape. Like, oh, I've got it. I know how to get out of here without having to go to prison. They made season 1 assuming that it would just be a one-off series, but I think there was always the idea that Jude Law's character would come back in some other Star Wars project. So I think this is them just leaving the back door open for that because you don't see him again for the rest of the episode. Like just a wry smile, like, I figured this out. I'm going to get off of this planet. And that's the end you see of him. Supposedly some of the characters will show up in some of the movies during this part of the timeline too, like either The Mandalorian and Grogu or maybe like the Thrawn movie because that's meant to be a big crossover movie. The kids find KB alive and well, none the worse for wear, amidst a trail of credits from her crash. When she spills out with the credits too, it's meant to be a metaphor for the fact that she is the real treasure for them. Like treasure spills out of the ship, but she is the actual real treasure. SN-33 also alive and well, and his rat too, who I guess is going to hang out on the planet now because technically the kids are still captain of the ship and he serves the captain. They also pay off the joke from the beginning of the series with Wim missing his assessment, like they kept mentioning it. They mentioned it again earlier in the episode too. I guess you don't have to take it anymore because KB literally crashed the ship into the building where he was supposed to take that test. Him getting all hyped up watching the X-Wings fly by with the music swelling up is also meant to pay off his desire in class where he told everyone that he wanted to become a hero helping people. The idea that someday he will join the New Republic and become a pilot. Then as power comes back to the city, the New Republic comes in, the end credits start playing with the animations from Wim's Jedi Star Wars stories. So they get a little bit meta with this. At the first part of the credits, they're just the actual stories themselves that he was watching at the beginning of the season, but at the end of these, they actually make it look like his own adventures with them standing on the Onyx Cinder were part of one of the adventures that he had been reading about all this time. When it pulls out, revealing his pad and his action figures, if you want to get real meta with it, Deadpool style, like breaking the fourth wall, you could say the real protagonist of the series was some other kid that we never saw, and everything that was happening was just a story that kid read, like Wim, KB, Fern, Neil, were all just characters in some other kid's story. But in reality, that is not the case. Like, this is all meant to be happening, like I said, as a spin-off from Ahsoka and the Mandalorian shows. We will see if any of the kids wind up showing up in any of the upcoming movies in this part of the timeline. I didn't see any special cameo scenes, like the X-Wing pilots that came back were the same ones that we saw earlier this season, but other than Kim and Stephen Fry coming back, I couldn't tell if there were any other special cameo scenes. Sam Witwer was also in the additional voices again, but like I said earlier this season, I think he did the voices for the regular security droids. If there's any other Easter eggs or references that you spotted in the episode that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. Like I said, we should get a much bigger Andor Season 2 trailer soon. I've already done a video for the first big trailer. Marvel's also supposed to be releasing the Daredevil Born Again trailer as of me posting this video, so that'll be like my next big video today. Make sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Everybody click here for that Andor Season 2 trailer, and click here for my Daredevil Born Again trailer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.